Welcome back to FineScale Modeler Weekly with another episode full of new model kits to be on the lookout for.
We'll start this episode with the Various Tin Lizzie box set by ICM in 1/24th scale.
The kit includes 3 Ford Model T variants, the 1912 light delivery vehicle, the 1913 Roadster, and the 1914 fire truck.
The Model T, also known as the Tin Lizzie, was a passenger car produced by the Ford Motor Company from 1908 to 1927. It was equipped with a 2.9-liter 4-cylinder engine and a 2-speed transmission.
All 3 provided cars have the same assembly instructions for the first 8 pages, starting at the engine with transmission, radiator with Ford logo, front suspension, rear suspension with axle, and differential.
A floorboard with fenders, exhaust, wheel rims, firewall, and a 2-piece hood round out this section of shared parts.
Getting into the unique parts, we'll start with the 1914 fire truck. Water tanks, basket, hose, ladder, fire extinguishers, bell, and searchlight are parts specific to this car.
The 1912 light delivery car has 15 parts for the cargo bed, which include sidewalls, curved roof, back doors, and a decal sheet to decorate the outside walls.
And ending with the 1913 Roadster, there's parts that make up the convertible roof and the driver and passenger compartment tub.
Of course, all 3 kits come with clear sprues for windows and headlights, and white rubber tires for all wheel assemblies.
Even though these 3 Tin Lizzies are reissues of previous releases going back to 2014, this box set is what you'd come to expect from ICM in detail and quality.
Next up is the 1/72nd scale Gotha GO242A1 German medium cargo glider by IBG Models.
This is a brand new tool based on the transport glider used by the Luftwaffe during World War II.
The Gotha GO242 was an upgrade over the DFS 230 in cargo capacity, troop capacity, and flight characteristics.
It saw limited combat action, had multiple variants, and became the basis for the Gotha GO244.
Starting at the bottom is an outer floor section, cargo hold floor panels, and bulkhead with wing supports.
The basic structure of the cockpit takes shape with the bulkhead frame, floor, pilot seat, co-pilot seat, and lower frame support.
The port and starboard outer body take shape along with the inner frame for both sides, open or closed windows, and optional machine guns.
Speaking of options, troop seats can be placed on either side or in the center of the cargo hold.
The roof of the cargo hold comes in 3 parts: the outer structure, frame, and rear plate.
The cockpit is finalized with the main window, along with the instrumentation panel and its support. An optional machine gun can be placed in the open section of the cockpit just above and in front of the co-pilot.
The tail of the cargo hold is in 2 sections, with supporting inner frames for each side. The floor, tail window, and machine guns round out this section.
Next up are the wing roots, main wing sections, tail booms, and tail wings. The control surfaces are all separate, which is a nice touch.
The landing gear frame is in 2 sections, along with 2-part wheels for each side. Rear landing wheels and towing hook complete the underbelly.
A photo-etched fret is included for seat belts, foot controls, tail gunner harness, cockpit control levers, and various wing details.
TechMod supplies a well-printed decal sheet for the following markings: TDIU 0031 in Eleusis, September 1941, DLDE 0131 on the Eastern Front in December 1941 to January 1942, F785 Staffel in Ukraine 1943 to 1944, F7812 Staffel in Ukraine, spring 1944.
This rendition of the Gotha GO242 by IBG Models packs in enough details and options to make any World War II model airplane builder happy, and is just different enough to mix things up in your collection.
We're sticking with IBG Models and showing you the company's 1/72nd scale V3000S 3-ton German truck.
This model was a new tool in 2019 and has seen new additions in 4 subsequent releases, including this one.
The V3000S was a highly produced German 3-ton cargo truck during World War II, primarily manufactured in Ford plants in Cologne starting in 1941.
It was a standard and widely used vehicle for all branches of the German armed forces across various fronts. The V3000S was equipped with a V8 engine and had only rear-wheel drive.
Starting under the hood, we'll begin with a V8 engine block, belt systems with attached oil and water pumps, cylinder heads, and 2 radiator hoses.
Going to the underbody, we have the front steering rack, brakes, sway bar, chassis, leaf springs, rear axle, propeller shaft, exhaust system, and a set of tires in front and duals in the back.
The cab comes together with the back wall, seat, firewall, dashboard, doors, hood, front grille, fenders, and headlights.
Next is the 6-part truck bed, which consists of the frame, bed floor, front wall with window opening, side walls, tailgate, and 3 storage compartments and a spare tire fit in between sections of the frame under the floor.
A small fret of photo-etched parts provides the radiator fan, various chassis components, and a jerry can holder. A decal sheet from TechMod includes 2 different license plate numbers and door jamb labels for 2 unknown units in 1944 and 1945. Lastly, a clear sprue provides the windshield and rear cab window.
I'd say that IBG Models is doing an impressive job of producing 1/72nd scale World War II vehicles for modelers. The Gotha GO242 cargo glider and the V3000S truck would look great together in a diorama.
Last in this week's lineup is the 1/25th scale 1966 Shelby GT-350 Mustang by AMT.
This kit can be built one of 3 ways: stock from the factory, street custom, or as a race car.
Highlights of this 1966 Mustang are the body, Shelby parts, pad-printed tires, and excellent decals.
We'll start things off with the stock engine block, exhaust manifolds, oil pan, front cover, fan belt and fan, cylinder heads, and valve covers.
Other stock engine details include the radiator hose, distributor, intake manifold, 4-barrel carburetor, and air cleaner, just to name a few.
Optional custom or racing engine parts include the intake manifold, twin 4-barrel carburetors, and air cleaner.
There's a choice between 4 rubber stock, custom, or racing tires. The stock Blue Streak tires are pad printed with the Goodyear logo on them, and the custom or racing tires are larger in both width and circumference.
You also have a choice between using stock, mag, or 10-spoke wheels to dress up the look of your tires.
The stock interior starts with the tub, which has all the basics molded in, like the center console, inside door panels, and back seat, dashboard with instrument panel, steering wheel with attached column, and bucket seats round out the stock interior.
A seatbelt harness, tachometer, bucket seats, and roll bar with brace are options for either custom or racing interior add-ons.
The firewall, battery, radiator, and radiator wall make up the inside of the engine compartment.
Quarter windows, rear window, and windshield finish off the interior, while the hood and left and right side scoops complete the outside of the single-piece body.
Final stock assembly details include the front and rear bumpers, front and rear pan, grille, side mirrors, gas cap, taillight bezels, and taillight lenses.
Custom and racing final assembly options consist of exhaust outlets, front and rear pan, front spoiler, headers, and more.
An impressive decal sheet gives you several decorative options, such as blue and white racing stripes, wheel hubs, grille badge, gauges, and a lot more.
AMT really outdid themselves with the amount of options included in this kit. Car builders will have a field day and may have a challenging time choosing which options to go with for their build. Look for reviews of the Various Tin Lizzie, German medium cargo glider, V3000S German truck, and the 1966 Shelby GT-350 Mustang at FineScale.com.
And head over to the shoptrains.com store for a great selection of tools, gifts, and books.
FineScale Modeler Weekly brought to you by Hobby Zone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard to find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs.
I was scrolling around on the FSM forum the other day, and I saw a post back from 2010 about wet pallets. And that got me thinking, we've never talked about pallets. You, me, us, talking about pallets. So today, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dive into the lowly paint pallet. Let's start off over here with the well pallet. I've got two different kinds right here. This is, your simple well palette that maybe you recognize from grade school, but it's an artist's well palette. And then this one is my very, very used Tamiya. I think there are 15 wells on this one. Yeah, 15 well palette. What do? You pour your paint in there and you paint away, right? Very easy, very simple to use, and pretty easy to clean. One that I haven't used quite as often as I have the well palettes is this 24 lattice wet palette. The cool thing about this is that, like a wet palette, it has this silicone seal on the top. So if you're putting acrylic paints in here, you can go ahead, you can close that up, and you can seal it down, and it will keep those paints fresh for you for a little while at least. But yeah, it just doesn't, this just never really suited me, even though I've got one at the workbench. When somebody says wet palette, these are the sorts of things that probably come to mind. You've got a case that opens up, and inside you have, in this case right now, a dehydrated sponge and an area for you to put water in. And what we can do is go ahead and fill that reservoir with water. So I'm just gonna use this bottle here and just start by getting the sponge wet. Now, I like to keep just enough water around the edge of the sponge, almost right to the top of the sponge, just to keep it moist in there, right? Now, you'll have then your piece of paper for the top of the sponge, the wet palette. And what you want to do is you want to put it down and then smooth it out. There you go. At this point, you are ready to use your wet palette. So I'm just going to show you, and you can apply however much you need. Let me shake this. Got a little bit of burnt umber. But what's really nice about the wet palette, aside from the fact that you can apply these paints and then keep them reasonably fresh, what if you're painting and you want to get different gradations? So you can, let's pull a little bit of that burnt red over here, and now I want to pull a little bit of the burnt umber. And now I've got a different mix. And you can keep that mix. And you can control your mixes as you're doing your work. And then you can keep all of that work fresh by just closing this up, putting the band on it, and then come back to it later. Finally, there is the glass palette. They're easy to clean up, but you can use your acrylic paints in a similar fashion right on the glass palette. And again, you can put them out here, and it's going to allow you to be able to not only keep your paints separate, but it's also going to allow you to do your mixes like this and keep going. The other thing that you can do with the glass palette that is really nice is you can use it with oils too. Ooh, it's been a little while since I've used that particular color, huh? Now here's the thing. It doesn't take much for you to come in and clean all of this stuff up. There's nothing saying that you have to use a glass palette from Redgrass or another provider. You could easily go down to the hardware store and ask them to cut you a piece of glass, and you could use that glass as your glass palette. The nice thing about something from Redgrass or another provider is that it might fit into a case that they have, so you'd be able to do that. And also, it's nicely beveled, so there's no sharp edges or anything like that. So those are the couple of things that I would at least have you look at before you decide to just go off and get a piece of glass and use that as your palette. But in any case, there it is, the lowly palette. I think these are really good to have at your workbench. And if you haven't considered using a wet palette, look into it. I think it will help you with your figure paint. As we do every season of FineScale Modeler Weekly, we're going to go through some of your comments. This is your fault. Let's get started. This is from Wild Dad. So yeah, this has to do with the rubber sanding eraser. And you haven't seen them in Canada. I don't know why you wouldn't have seen them in Canada, but definitely check them out because they're very much worth the. They aren't very much. They're like $8-10 American, and they're going to save your files. They're going to save your sandpaper. They're going to save your sanding sticks, and they're going to last a long. You're not. I mean, unless you're doing a ton of work, you're not going to eat through that really big rubber rectangle. As for Heritage Con, we love the show. We love going there, and I like shooting it. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, maybe next year you'll have one of your models in there. This comment is one for our Scale Model Basics, how to dry brush scale models. Yeah, thanks for calling it a great video. We really appreciate that. We really do. You are correct. Gloss coat, wash, because that means that your wash flows. So that's what you want for your wash to do. Flat coat, and then dry brush. I'm not so sure about this idea about going back over it with a gloss coat again, though, because dry brushing is usually one of those very final things that you're doing. If you're going to put you could put a flat coat over the top of it, but if you're going to put a gloss coat over it, what you're doing is you're turning those highlights glossy, which means you're making it part of the vehicle that you're modeling, right? Not necessarily a highlight. So I wouldn't recommend that you go back over your dry brushing with a gloss coat. I'm going to read this one. This has to do with the glass files from a few weeks back. I don't like glass files. I have a bunch of them. I find that strange, but okay. So I have a bunch of them. They clog up instantly, and if you put any slight unequal pressure, you lose a lot of plastic, and the edges dig in like crazy. But then I spent $2 on a no-name transparent nail nano file. Absolute game changer for bigger nubs. Okay, well, we'll have to take a look at that. It doesn't remove as much material as the glass file, so it's harder to mess up. Also, it has rounded edges, so no worries with sudden canyons in the piece. I will admit, with glass files, there is a little bit of a learning curve. But once you, in my experience, once you know what you're doing with them, they work really well. And in fact, I was at a show just last weekend, and there was a little group of us who were talking about glass files and singing their praises. So I'm sorry that you don't like them, but again, your mileage may vary. You do you. This is very kind. Thank you for welcoming Jason. He is a figure enthusiast, and he's been doing a lot of work. And in fact, I think you found out he's working on a figure review for the magazine right now. So thank you for welcoming him. We're glad he's on board. This comment is on our scale model basics on how to repair scratches in clear parts. And you know what, Fat Track? I'm glad that helped you, and I'm sorry that you put a scratch in your hurricane window. But yeah, you know, one of the things that always makes us feel really good is when we hear that we've supplied you with a technique and you guys are able to go out, you're able to use that technique and use it successfully to get the results that you want. And that's everything that we're here to do. That's our whole mission, is to help you guys model better, you know, fix the little things and enjoy the hobby to its fullest. So that's 5 or 6 comments of me just scrolling through the latest ones that you guys have left. Thank you so much for leaving comments. Continue to do that. We love hearing from you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
The goose. The Gotha. Oh boy.
We've got Gotha, Gotha, and Gotha. Next up is the 1/72nd scale Gotha Go 242. Gotha Go.
Gotha go!
Yeah, flap and floop. Do this again.
Are used by the Luftwaffe during The basic structure of the cockpit takes
When these whoa, hey, shooting the wrong way there, buddy.
I'd say that IBG Models is doing an impressive job of producing 1/72nd scale World War II vehicles.